Welcome folks! In this video, I'ma talk about one of For Honor's most slippery characters, the Shinobi. This hero dances across the battlefield with the finesse of a ballerina and the lethality of mosquito with malaria. If you want to know more about this hero's inspiration and just how much of this game's Shinobi is rooted in the real-world history of the Shinobi, sit tight, grab a snack, and enjoy. So, who is the Shinobi in For Honor? First off, let me break it down what the Shinobi is all about in For Honor. This hero is part of the samurai faction, also known as the Weebs. The Shinobi is classified as an assassin type, which means they're all about speed, agility, and dealing damage in short bursts. What sets him apart from other assassins is the insane mobility. This guy zips around like he's on a sugar rush, using ranged attacks and acrobatic dodges that can put circus shows to shame. You know, katanas are cool, but this shinobi's Kusarigama is way more unique. This weapon, with a chain that gives them range and flexibility, is perfect for pulling off flashy combos and tripping up opponents. The Shinobi is essentially your slippery back-flipping nightmare. They can dodge roll like a gymnast on cocaine, and their deflect allows them to counterattack with a variety of attacks, making them very unpredictable. The icing on the cake, they've got a ranged attack called Sickle Rain, where they launch their chain sight at you like a damn scorpion knockoff. But all of this flashiness begs the question, how much of this is actually based on the historical Shinobi? So now let's dive into the real world counterpart, the Shinobi from Feudal Japan. The term Shinobi is often used interchangeably with ninja, but it's actually a bit more complex than that. The word shinobi comes from the Japanese verb shinobu, which means to steal away or to hide. Perfect for what these guys did back in the day. Historically, shinobis weren't your rooftop hopping magic casting warriors that pop culture loves to depict. Instead, they were more like covert agents or spies used by samurai clans for scouting, sabotage, and, when necessary, assassinations. Think more along the lines of James Bond, with a little less shooting and a lot more stealthiness. In fact, their main weapons weren't loud chains or dual sights either. The Kusarigama, the chained sickle used by For Honor's shinobi, was actually a real weapon, but not commonly used by shinobis. It was originally a farming tool. Imagine like taking a sight and just slapping a chain on it. Yeah, talk about DIY project. But for real, the shinobi's toolkit was usually a combination of small weapons like kunai, smoke bombs, poisons, and shuriken. And at least two of them are in the game, right? They were also masters of blending in, often disguising themselves as farmers, merchants, or even monks to pass unnoticed while gathering intel. While the shinobi in For Honor pulls off crazy flips and seemingly impossible moves, the real shinobi's main skill was invisibility, or at least like staying unnoticed. A shinobi would consider a successful mission one where no one ever knew they were there. So yeah, For Honor's Shinobi is kind of like a Michael Bay version of a shinobi.
Oh my god, you're Michael Bay!
Oh my god, I am Michael Bay.
Explosions, dramatic flair, and a bit more fighting on the front lines than any historical shinobi would ever do. But the game's shinobi doesn't completely abandon history. There are some nods to the shinobi's more obscure skills. For example, one of Shinobi's moves in the game is the ability to disappear briefly in a cloud of smoke. This mirrors the Metsubushi tactic used by real-world Shinobis, tossing a mixture of ground pepper or dust into an opponent's face to disorient them for them to escape. There's also a focus on mobility and evasion, which is a nod to the shinobi's mastery of moving quickly and silently across the difficult terrain. And speaking of mobility, For Honor's shinobi practically parkours across the battlefield, with a dash speed that makes other heroes look like they're stuck in slow motion. Historically, shinobi were indeed skilled at scaling walls and climbing trees, but maybe not quite as gracefully as you see in the game. Real-life shinobis would train in stealth walking, making it so they could tread lightly enough not to snap a twig. Sounds easy, right? But try it sometime without making your ankles look like you're crashing out. Now, let's talk about the meta. The shinobi has had an interesting place in For Honor's roster. When first introduced, they were a high-risk, high-reward hero, kind of like playing PvP Dark Souls, but a little bit unfair since they had a ranged attack that was practically impossible to defend while in a team fight. They could dish out insane damage, but they were fragile and needed precise timing to excel. Over time, though, Ubisoft has tweaked them, trying to find that sweet spot where they're dangerous but not overpowered. For new players, the shinobi can feel frustrating to face. A ranged assassin with crazy dodge options can make even the most seasoned warden want to put their sword down and just cry. But that's the thing with the shinobi. They force you to think differently. You can't just swing blindly and hope for the best. No, instead, you need to predict, react, and keep your cool. Almost like how a samurai in Feudal Japan would deal with a real shinobi threat. So, in the end, For Honor's shinobi might not be a perfect representation of historical shinobis, but they sure are fun to play and face off against, kind of. Unless they're spamming dodge kicks, right? Then it's just obnoxious. But hey, that's the thrill of the game, right? The shinobi might be outlandish with their chain attacks and the sickle throws, but that's part of what makes For Honor so unique. It's a game that balances historical inspiration with creative over-the-top flair. So, in my opinion, I think Shinobi is in a pretty good place. Maybe a bit too good is really strong, But either way, like there are stronger characters like Afira and Varangian, blah blah blah, the VG. You know what I mean? My bad. So yeah, I think Shinobi's in a good place. He's strong but not broken. Like you can make some pretty sick combos with him. But at the end of the day, like you run out of stamina really fast. It's not like Hitokiri that can just keep spamming heavies. Like no, with Shinobi you actually have to like think about what you're doing, to think about what's the best uh, input you can do at the moment, and depending on the matchup, there's always different things you can use against the opponent, right? It's a little bit like the Shaolin. Of course, the Shaolin is a lot more well built, a lot more balanced. I mean, like I guess what I want to say is more balanced in terms of skills and what he can do. Maybe a little bit too balanced, but that's a story for another video, I guess. Right now, I just want to say that Shinobi is really enjoyable. I enjoy playing against him, and I enjoy playing with him. And yeah, I hope they continue to have make a good job, balancing the characters and thing, because I know when he got out, he was broken. So let me know in the comments what you think about the Shinobi current state in the game. Do you think the Shinobi needs a nerf, a buff, or is it just the right amount of ridiculous? And while you're at it, consider subscribing if you enjoyed the video and liking it if you want more deep dives into the lore and design behind the For Honor heroes. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to be peaceful in life and show no mercy in the battlefield. See ya!